U.S. Senators John Barrasso and Cynthia Lummis called the Bureau of Land Management's preferred Rock Springs Resource Management Plan an outrageous land grab. A planned drag show story hour for children in Rock Springs next week sparked a heated debate at a city council meeting Tuesday. And with winter kill carcass scattered across the landscape, Wyoming hunters might have a crack at bringing home some bonus trophies. We'll take a look at these stories and more today from Wyoming's largest news organization. I'm Wendy Kaur for Cowboy State Daily. Calling the Bureau of Land Management's preferred Rock Springs Resource Management Plan an outrageous land grab, U.S. Senators John Barrasso and Cynthia Lummis want the agency to kill it. The Wyoming Republicans, along with Utah's Senate delegation of Mitt Romney and Mike Lee, have sent a letter to BLM Director Tracy Stone Manning calling the plan misguided and a land grab, according to Cowboy State Daily's Leo Wolfson.
This preferred plan is seen as the most aggressive conservation effort and part of President Joe Biden administration's overarching conservation efforts. Barrasso and Lummis described this as a land grab and misguided. They said that preferred proposal does not take into account the wishes of local landowners and stakeholders.
The senators are urging Stone Manning to kill the BLM's preferred alternative and draft a new proposal that better considers the wishes of stakeholders and residents in Wyoming and Utah. The Broadway Theater in Rock Springs, which is owned by the city, is hosting a reading of Tara Lipsinki's children's book, Letter from the Queen, which is built as a drag story hour that's family-friendly. During a city council meeting Tuesday evening, Rock Springs resident Laura McKee protested the fact that the event is being held in a venue owned by the city, sparking a debate about morality and free speech. That's according to Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland.
Rock Springs owns the property of Broadway Theater, and yet private entities host events at the theater. There was a woman who went to the city council meeting to protest the city's perceived involvement in this event. And there was a back and forth between the woman and the city council member, but the mayor shut it down, basically saying everybody gets a free speech right, and we're not going to meddle with that.
The mayor clarified that Rock Springs is not sponsoring or funding Thursday's Drag Queen Story Hour. The state of Wyoming is placing a $2.5 million bet, with help from the University of Wyoming, that it can help the oil industry figure out how to tap into the undiscovered riches in the tricky Mowry Shale of the Powder River Basin. A study by the U.S. Geological Survey in the early 2010s shows untapped reserves of 200 billion barrels of oil there. Figuring out how to tap that would go a long way to extending Wyoming oil and gas plays for existing producers and would be a huge economic boon for the state. Last year, the Wyoming legislature approved a $2.5 million expenditure to UW's School of Energy Resources to conduct a dozen feasibility studies to see if it's possible to get the most out of the huge reserves. I'll be back with more news right after this.
At Hilltop Bank, we understand that buying a home is a big decision. That's why we're here to be your trusted partner on the path to home ownership. Our experienced mortgage team will guide you every step of the way, from pre-approval to closing. We offer competitive rates and a wide variety of home loan options to best suit your needs. With our local knowledge and personalized service, you'll feel confident and comfortable throughout the entire home buying process. Contact us today to start your journey toward home ownership. Hilltop Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Well, after Arkansas announced it will force a Chinese state-owned company to sell its property there, a pair of Wyoming lawmakers say they plan to reintroduce bills they pushed this last session that carry a similar intent. Cowboy State Daily's Leo Wolfson reports that Cowley Representative Dalton Banks and Representative Bill Allemand of Midwest each sponsored bills that would restrict property ownership by adversary nations.
It's important to note, though, that still neither of these bills go as far as what Arkansas did by actually taking away currently owned land.
Arkansas announced Tuesday it will require a Chinese state-owned company to sell 160 acres of agricultural land, likely becoming the first state to actually force a foreign country, considered a U.S. adversary, to divest itself of assets in America. And with winter kill carcass scattered across the landscape, Wyoming hunters might have a crack at bringing home bonus trophies in the form of dead heads or the intact heads and antlers of animals that froze and starved to death last winter. But Outdoors reporter Mark Hines points out that it's not just a game of grab-and-go finders keepers.
You want to take pictures of where you found it, take pictures of the skull and the antlers, and then he said if you have a GPS, get a location pin for that, turn all that over to the Game and Fish. That helps Game and Fish keep a record of what's out there and who's been finding what.
People who want to keep the deadheads must also get an $8 Wyoming Interstate game tag for each one. And that's today's news. I'm Wendy Kaur for Cowboy State Daily.